We know that Insomniac Games, the developers behind Marvel's Spider-Man and Ratchet & Clank, are now in the PlayStation fold as part of being one of PlayStation Studios. However, PlayStation consoles are still missing one of the best Insomniac titles, and that is Sunset Overdrive. Well, that might be changing. We'll talk about that. And also, we got a pretty big update on an upcoming RPG, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. This game looks really good, and it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's actually out relatively soon, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But first of all, I do want to note that Sony Interactive Entertainment has registered the trademark for Sunset Overdrive in the United States on April 26th. Sunset Overdrive was developed by Insomniac, and it came out as an Xbox One exclusive initially, I believe back in 2014. Then it was released on PC as well. I played it quite a bit on PC, and I had a really good time with it. It was a very enjoyable game. Over the top, absolutely off the wall, and when I initially saw the game, I wasn't really thinking highly of it when, you know, it was originally revealed, but it turned out to be a really good game, and it may have, you know, honestly set the foundation for Insomniac learning about open world games more and transitioning that, you know, knowledge into the release of Marvel's Spider-Man and the development of that game, because that game turned out to be a great open world title. I wouldn't say Sunset Overdrive is quite as good as that, but it was still one of the best Xbox One exclusives, which, you know, might not be saying a lot, but just because the X1 was lacking in exclusives for a while, but Sunset Overdrive turned out to be a really solid game, and I remember people were buying Xbox Ones and really enjoying that game. And now that it's trademarked by Sony themselves, you would have to think that maybe the game will be coming to PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 in the near future. I think the game could actually get a second wind on those consoles. Like, the game didn't sell that well. It sold okay on PC, but on PC it was released at a $19.99 budget price point, and that's well after the game's initial release. I think on PlayStation, you price it accordingly. If you can add some more content, do that as well. And I think the game would actually sell relatively well, all things considered, just because these are the types of games that nowadays I think people give more and more of a chance to. Games that, you know, don't have a legacy IP attached to them or anything like that, just by word of mouth. People are like, oh, okay, I heard that game was good. I'm not saying it's going to sell 10 million copies or anything like that, but it doesn't have to. You could just port the game. If it sells 800,000 to 1 million copies and, you know, it's digital only, I mean, that's a significant amount of revenue that would be generating, and, you know, the people get a great game to play on their PlayStation consoles. So I think it would be a win across the board, but we'll see how that turns out. I'll keep you guys posted if we do hear more on that. Okay, moving on. This is super exciting. I'm not a big Dungeons & Dragons guy, but I have to say Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance is looking pretty freaking good. It's an action RPG coming to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and, you know, a lot of people aren't talking about this game, but it's out next month. June 22nd, and June is looking to be a sick month for new game release, and this is one that's kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit, but it's looking solid. Stefan LeBlanc, creative art director over at the development studio 2K Games, is talking quite a bit about it on the PlayStation blog, and really gives us a little bit more insight into what the game is and what it's gonna feature. Noting a heavy metal inspiration, and he noted, quote, "When I say heavy metal, I think art style, not music. The game's music is fully orchestral. Think of the look of heavy metal album covers, or Mad Max, or even one of the original masters of metal, Mozart." We also obviously take a lot of inspiration from Dungeons & Dragons art that has come before us. The cool thing about D&D is there have been so many unique interpretations of its art over the decades. There is no one set style, but it all looks high fantasy at the end of the day. A lot of the various characters were shown off. The art is looking really good, and I wouldn't say that the visuals are, you know, like high-tech, slam dunk or anything like that. It's not a true next-generation game. It's just going to be on PS5 and, you know, Xbox Series, but it'll be on PS4 and PC. But the blog post also gave us some insight on the monsters in the game, noting there are more than 30 different enemy types in Dark Alliance. Each main faction of monsters gets its own missions, structure that explores the architecture, culture, and even a bit of their daily practices. By centering each 3-act mission around a faction, it helps us build a cohesive visual design that brings our world to life and makes our enemies more memorable. So this is a game that, if you like see it in action, and you guys are seeing some gameplay right now, gameplay-wise, it's looking like a pretty fun game. But I think the one thing they are going to have to ultimately overcome is just, you know, for a while there were no games coming out, but like the next month and a half is just like disgusting with how many games are coming out. Like Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, FF7 Remake Intergrade, Ratchet & Clank, Mass Effect Trilogy, Resident Evil 7 is or 8 I should say, Resident Evil Village is dropping in just a few days. It's just like so many games. And I just don't know if this is going to be the one that really, you know, people do skip. I do see this being one that people might be a little bit hesitant to pick up, but hopefully they deliver a high quality product, and hopefully they do beat this next month and a half busy gaming cycle, because as we head into the summer, I think things are going to quiet down a little bit, so maybe if you don't pick it up day one, it is one you check out deeper in the summer, but we'll see how it turns out. Again, June 22nd for this one, but that's going to wrap up this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Sunset Overdrive potentially coming to the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. I think it would be a pretty, you know, I wouldn't say a gigantic seller, but I do think it's going to sell higher than expectations would suggest. And Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, June 22nd for that. Keep that on your radar. I know Ratchet & Clank, Mass Effect, Resident Evil, there's so many games, but this is one that I do think is going to get a little bit lost in the shuffle, and maybe it might be one that deserves to be at the forefront. That's going to wrap up this one. Again, sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.